Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Paint It Live. Hope you guys are having a good something evening. Was it Sunday? Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. And we're gonna be painting some Aristeia. You could. I can't speak. I can't speak tonight, but we are gonna be painting some Aristeia. So we got what's this name? Lei Gong, I think is the name of this dude. So we got Lei Gong going on there. So I've got a batch of these that I want to paint, and because he's airbrush. You can see there's some good work on him, and then we're also going to work on this Maximus because he's fun and awesome, and we should do that. He's a big old hunk of metal too. So we're going to work on these two mainly tonight. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments, any threats. I kind of liked his, for Lei Gong, I did kind of like his original art, but I like this better. I think this looks cooler. So you can see how it's sort of airbrushed on there, but now I really want to kind of really kind of want to push these colors a little bit. That's the one issue with these color shift paints is they look fantastic when they go down, but they don't really pop. You have to liven them up. Like you have to be the one to pop these, and I'm figuring out what is the best way to do that. And I think that one of the best ways to do that would actually just be to use a bunch of inks on them. That does kill at least some of the color shift property on these, but I don't know. I think we should be okay if we do this sparingly and we do this right. Right, so we're going to try some of this acrylic crystal on Lei Gong here. I suppose I could airbrush it on if I really wanted to, but I don't think I really want to. I think I just want to drive some color on this. Okay, so it has been several days actually. Well, not several days, a couple of days since I've painted, and feeling a little bit drowsy tonight because we just got back. We played some Aristeia, and I've got a little bit. I had a couple of beers, and they just making me sleepy. Not like buzzed, just sleepy. So yeah, we're gonna try some of this orange. What happens if I mix? If I mix this acrylic crystal with this Meng transparent orange, I wonder what happens. Do you want to find out what happens? Let's find out what happens. See, this transparent orange just that transparent orange is just so thick. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. From a flow standpoint, it's kind of terrible because I like all my paints to flow really well. And the fact that that is not flowing very well, I see as an issue. Also, I gotta just straight up just find my paintbrush. Where's my main paintbrush? Don't see it. So what happens? Take a couple nights off. You can't really find your paintbrush or the stuff that you're used to using. Yeah, I don't see it I don't see it. This is not good, guys. Anyway, I'm sure it'll pop up. Let's just do what we do. Let's just paint. Okay. Whoop. So I'm going to mix that transparent orange with this crystal orange, and that's going to give me this hopefully orange wash. Let's see what happens if I put some of this down, if it starts to brighten up color. Looks like it does. Seems like it looks like it is could possibly start drawing up some additional color on here. I like that color. It's actually kind of making a greenish armor color. Right, so I'm going to put it on the normal orange parts of this model. Right, just kind of grow that color back in. But what I need to do is I need to find. Hey, what's up, Nelson? What I need to do is I need to find my regular brush so that I can really work shadows on this. This guy's on freaking rollerblades, and that's kind of killing me. Yes, I kind of find that funny. That this dude's rocking rollerblades. He's got a big old cannon, and he's got like wings that look like their main job is just to counterbalance. Well, he's got kind of an orange gold color, and then this is orange. He's got a little bit of blue there. I could punch that blue up with some ink. And then this area here, that area there is actually more of a gold color too. I want this layer to dry, this ink layer, before I work on the rest of the armor here. Okay. Let's see if I can find my brush. It's my main Winsor Newton brush. Let's see. I don't see. Dang. It's a little upsetting that I cannot find the brush. Did it just disappear? It's really weird. Can this be it? That's not it. This is not it. This is probably it right here. All right. So we're going to let that orange dry a little bit, and let's get the skin on his face going. Yeah, it was good to play some Aristeia just a little while ago against Jason, and it was an excellent game. Very difficult game. It was very well played, and it just came down to a couple of dice rolls at the end, and then the fact that Jason just kept killing my guys, and he had all kinds of frags at the end of the game. Ended up putting him over the top. All right, so we're gonna go with some Gilliman flesh here on Mr. Rollerblade Cannon guy. And then while we're at it, let's get Maximus's skin in. Just like almost impossible to see on his face. But he has this big old chesticle area here. Like a true Spartan. So while that's going, then we're gonna continue the main color block on Maximus here, which is mainly just this big old yellow, I'm sorry, this big old red cloak that he has. All right, he's Des as Sparta. And he's got exposed toes, so we got to be mindful of that. Okay, and then some other areas here where you've got some exposed skin, and then back all up in here. It's like they're just wearing the outermost layers of their armor. They're not wearing any of their under clothing. Okay. All right, and let's start going on. Let's start working on this the red cloak. So we need some Flesh Terrors red. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions, comments. At some point, Nelson, I'm gonna want if you can give me the major colors that you want for Gata. I can get going there. And then any preferences you might have for Oni 8 Ball, let me know. The wolves we're gonna, Moonchild we're just gonna mostly treat like the studio art, unless you tell me otherwise. Oh, also Parvati, if you have a special scheme you want for Parvati. Nope. Missed a message there from Michael. Welcome to the feed, Michael. We're just gonna paint. My goal tonight is really just to get these two painted, and then I'll work on another 3 tomorrow, and then 2 more Tuesday night, and we should be good for a Wednesday turnaround, unless I'm able to get a little bit more work in tomorrow. Unpack the car? Nice. Got to pink and neon green, please. Okay. Just pink and neon green. Got it. Okay. What color hair do you want on her if she's going to be pink and neon green? You need to work on your guy anytime soon? Okay. Yeah, well, I've got to punch through this. I've got to finish this batch of Aristeia for Nelson, and then I can work on that uh, that one Guild Ball mini. Okay, so we're just getting the pink hair or purple. Okay, all right. Yeah, I love that Gata mini. I told you I have one that's painted like Raftalia from Rising of the Shield Hero. Cool. So yeah, it was a good weekend for gaming. Lots of gaming happening, and really fun games at that. We got I got wrecked by Michael's Cooks on Saturday. That was cool. And then yes or today I played against Jason in Aristeia. All right. So lots of weird angles on this model. You can't. I always feel like I can't get it all, but we're doing okay. All right. Let's let that dry for a minute. Switch back over to Legong here. Legong has. So I want this to be more blue there. So all I'm going to do is we're going to drop some blue ink here. Maybe some blue wash. Here's some blue ink. So blue ink there. Maybe I use a little bit of green. Still can't believe how well our state game went tonight. Nicely executed on both sides. Just the final roll was a bummer. Yeah, no, that was a fantastic game. Super happy that was able to get in a game with Jason, and um, I feel like that game was good because we really kind of pushed the characters to the limits of what they can do. Right? Really, we were just kind of slamming characters across the board, kind of using a bunch of their abilities that maybe don't get a lot of playtime. Like a lot of people just play Gata, for example, and they just run her across the board because she's super fast, which that's great. But if you can get really good at getting, playing the dazzle maneuvers well, and then, and be able to get her across the board reasonably reliably, then obviously that becomes a very powerful thing. All right, so I actually want those to be more green there. I'm going to run a little bit of blue here. But yeah, I was pretty pleased with that game in particular. It's probably one of the best Aristeia games I've ever played. Was just because of how intense that got. As the scores were starting to tighten up, and it was winding down to the last activation. Yeah, Gata she's just so good at she can shut people down and run clear across the board. Let's see. Let's get some green. I want to get some green ink. If I have a good green ink, I hope I do. See what I got. Maybe I don't have a good green ink. Yeah, turquoise ink. That might actually look kind of sweet on this. Let's do a turquoise ink. But yeah, I felt like that was a clinic on how to run Gata specifically, and then also just what it felt like most of the game was what Musashi almost always had some answer, no matter what we did to Musashi all game long. He always seemed like he still had something very important he could do every single turn, which was kind of driving me nuts. And then Gata just being able to basically dominate the initiative sequence by always being able to go first. Like, so she basically made it so that I could have first activation each turn with her being there, being on the board. And that that dazzle is just so efficient, especially if you get the dazzle with the displaced trigger on it, right? It becomes very very efficient. All right, so you can see, just gonna work some of that turquoise ink in. And let this model kind of show off some turquoise in spots. We also learned just how potent Cosmo can be, right? Cosmo won him the game just by being able to come in on 3 energy and move 5 spaces. Um, so yeah, so Jason's team is super underrated when it comes to mobility, because he's got Musashi, who has all kinds of amazing movement tricks and bonuses, and then you have Cosmo, who also has built-in movement bonuses, and then finally you have Hexer, right? So you have Hexer with just her ability to not only boost other people's effective threat and their total move, she can also displace opponents, get really control the board. So all right, so you can see that's where I'm at. Okay. And next thing I need to do here is I need some black. But for sure, right? When you play a game like that, or even like in your case, Nelson, you see a game played like that, a game of Aristeia, aren't you ready to go play another one tomorrow? Like that's how these games work, right? Because you're able to like the game itself that you get through can kind of be a little bit draining just because of the kind of the rigorous mental exercise of playing a game like that. But as soon as you're done, you're like, okay, that was awesome. I want to play again. Why is it delayed? Bat flu? No, it was rain. We just had rain. We're because it's an outdoor event. We had to move it. We're moving our Guild Ball tournament to next Sunday, so a week from today will actually be our Extra Life tournament for Guild Ball. I will, depending on the attendees, the attendance, I'm going to try to save some space for a couple of folks that want to come down and play some Aristeia. Oh, I'm like missing. Actually, do need a little bit of. Let's make. How's it going, newbie? Yeah, well, with any luck, if we have, I'm figuring we're going to have like 8 people for Guild Ball, so I can have a 5th table set up. If you and Jason want to come down and play some Aristeia while the other folks are playing Guild Ball, and I'll let you participate in raffles. How about that? Okay. So we'll let that dry for a minute, and then his base is Thunder. Li Gong means, yeah, I want to play it daily now. Jason even asked me to game Friday night. He doesn't want wait until Saturday. Jason is hooked now. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, rain is kind of an occurrence down here. It's people freak out when it rains down here, newbie. We don't know how to deal with such uh, meteorological phenomena. Oh, so that says thunder right there? That's cool. All right. So let me see if I can. It never seems like you can make sharp lines with metallics. Like it's very hard to make a really sharp highlight line with a metallic. But we'll try. We're going to try. Metallics always get in and just wreck your brushes, so. But if I can actually get, right, if I can get some good definition here, I'll do it. I'm wondering if I need, maybe I need to give the whole thing a black wash first before we do that. We freak out when it's sunny here. Total opposite. Yeah, I know Brits you guys go nuts when you guys actually get sun. Crazy. So we're going to use some of this this airbrush wash, and I'm just going to push it real good. I'm going to push it into the cracks here and make sure we've got good, strong definition on all this stuff. I never really knew what to make of this particular sculpt. I didn't know if I liked it. It's really starting to grow on me as I start to populate all the little detail on it. And you guys know, like in general, I vastly prefer the metal sculpts for Aristeia. But this guy's got rollerblades. He's got rollerblades, a side cannon, and wings. That's hilarious to me. The amount of cool shit you could do with this guy seems to be worth painting some of this plastic. Okay, there we go. But that is one downside to using these Vallejo metallics is sometimes if you're not sharp enough with the detail, it can get lost. So how's life treating everyone? Well, for me, I gotta say, it's been pretty good. It's a pretty good weekend overall. You know, got to meet up with a lot of friends, got to play a couple of games, very productive on the like the chores and stuff. And I don't know, this weekend I've been doing a lot of like what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of introspective stuff this weekend. I watched. I've been watching Brave New World because while I've never really formally read the book, I've been studying up on Brave New World, and I'm just gonna load up the audiobook and start listening to the audiobook because that story is very relevant. We'll just say it's very, very relevant. So overall, super good weekend for me. And despite the fact that we had to cancel or postpone my Aristeia event, I mean my Extra Life event, I'm still pretty happy, right? All right, let's do the same shadow stuff on, actually, do I want it? Yeah. Do we have like a nice, I need like almost not a candy red. I need like almost like a rust color. I need a rust wash color. See if I can find one. Lots of stories are relevant. Well, yes, but I think particularly, I feel like Brave New World is particularly relevant right now. And it's really interesting. Like my wife teaches Brave New World to her freshmen for English, and so she's been teaching Brave New World for decades now, so she's really kind of looked at this book inside and out, and even to the point where we've had discussions about the Huxley family, and we always compare it to 1984, and I feel like 1984 is sort of like the kindergarten version of the dystopia. It's just way oversimplified. Like she's always asking, like, why does 1984 always get the hype, right? 1984, here you go, guys, 1984. Why does 1984 always get the hype when actually, when you look at Brave New World, Brave New World is way more on target in my opinion. It's like way more on target with, um, you know, dystopian society and where a lot of us are seeing how the future play out for the human species, right? My opinion, that's where it's at. You want to know where we're going? You got to watch. You gotta read Brave New World. 1984 is just sort of like I said, it's just sort of like the checkers version of the dystopian future. Sure, there's concepts that you definitely want to learn that you can pick up from 1984. But if you really want to just jump into the matter, if you really just want to jump into where things look to be headed, there's two things I think that we should look at. There's specifically one is Brave New World, and then the other one is the Spanish Civil War. I think the Spanish Civil War is like one of the best history lessons to be studying right now. Mainly because the Spanish Civil War really, and I don't want to get political on this show again, but the Spanish Civil War really does set the stage and show you, some of the vast differences between left-right politics. How quickly regimes can be changed out and just how devastating culture and eventually like military civil war, how absolutely devastating that can be. So yeah, it is, newbie. These Aristeia models are fantastic, and this is one of my favorite all-time favorite sculpts. And it's like when you want to tell people, man, metal Aristeia models just really kick the shit out of so much else that's out there. Yeah. But I don't know. I just think that, yeah, I'll touch on it one more time and then leave it. But I really do think like 1984 just feels rudimentary when you compare it to Brave New World, and how much I feel like Brave New World really kind of highlights, where so many things are at today. But yeah, look at this dude, man. Look at this dude. He's awesome, right? It's such a good sculpt. It's such a good sculpt, right? This is like a joy to paint because the detail is phenomenally good on it, and there's just good areas. There's just good areas on this model to really play around with light, with textures. This is just a great miniature. All right, so these parts are like mainly bubbled in there, but let's do some non-metallics in there just to kind of help. The non-metallic mixed in with the main metallic parts are going to help blend and bring certain colors forward. Really help give this model some depth. Oh, yeah. Don't worry, newbie. I'm in, dude. I'll be in there, but maybe. I think I don't think people. I don't think the rest of the sort of dicey gang. I don't think they're quite as into these types of discussions as say we are. So it doesn't. I don't really take offense to that. That's just where they're at. and where I'm at, and where you're at, right? Where it it means, I think for us, because we're a little bit older, um, yeah, it's because we're a little bit older. We want to sink our teeth in to these topics and really kind of open them up and play around with them. A lot of people don't like to do that. It's almost like if you look at it, almost like the way people analyze games. Could be a tabletop game, could be a video game or whatever. You basically have, like, the casual crowd that's like, oh man, I want to play some Magic the Gathering or whatever. Uh, could use some Soma from Brave New World, some Soma. Dude, you know what? You want to know what a version of Soma is? Is when you really start to look at uh, uh, the biological response, the biochemical response of your brain to this is, that's where you're like, dude, that Soma is half right, but that thing right there, that is crack. The fact that Facebook knows when you go to the bathroom, it can figure out when you go to the bathroom. Um, that stuff that's Soma. It's not the Soma that, it's not that absolutely perfect Soma that just makes you happy no matter what. But, like, dude, that really is, kind of like a drug there. I don't know. But yeah, it's cool because, like I said, I spent some time this weekend really kind of looking at that, and um and even I even kind of we discussed it. Like, I discussed it with my 7-year-old and discussed it with my wife, right? Like, the heart of the book um is that choice. Do you want to be? Would you rather be you know, have everything you want and be happy all the time, or would you rather be free? And our answers, we each answered it. Me and my son and my wife, we each answered that question, and our answers were all a little bit different. My son is 7 years old, so the fact that he even can consider such an answer is pretty remarkable. Um, but we agreed on a lot of things that he looked at it like uh, the choice between freedom and content and security is like looking at a wild animal as opposed to a domesticated one, right? A wild animal might see security, safety, and never being in want, the akin to being in a cage, right? Being in the zoo, being in a maybe even being in a circus, because yeah, um, your needs are being met, your basic needs are being met. You've got food and shelter, and you're safe from all the hazards of the natural world, but you're also in a cage. You're also trapped. You have no agency. You have no choice. Right? My son kind of brought that to light. Like, that was one of the things that he wanted to say as part of this conversation. It was absolutely brilliant. And then, I said, my answer was, I would definitely choose freedom because, the ability to feel grief and loss and victory and defeat, you lose all of that. You lose, that's what makes you human, and you lose that. So I qualified my answer as well. I said I would choose freedom, but I would want to be damn sure I knew how to take care of myself. right? If I was going to leave the great society, uh, you know, and be like to be like a John character on purpose, then yeah, I would want to have trained myself in those skills. I still there's still a big part of me that wants to continue to learn how to do all of these things. When I was a teenager, um, my my older brother taught me um, how to fix my own car, right? How to change my own oil, how to do my own, how to change my spark plugs and my gasket, and how to change my brakes. I changed my brakes on my car, and you learn how to do all that kind of stuff. And in other things too, like um, I taught myself a lot of stuff about just like how to build computers and that kind of thing, and I taught myself how to troubleshoot. This is from just being a homeowner. How to troubleshoot air conditioning, how to fix minor plumbing problems, that sort of thing, right? So, so that was my answer. It's like, yes, I would choose freedom. I ideally choose freedom, but I would want to be damn sure I knew how to take care of myself in freedom, because I would want I would still want to have a family, right? Being free, but that's all great and all, but you better be able to learn how to protect yourself, learn how to fend for yourself, because you have to. That's what that's what you've signed up for. When you really say, "I want freedom," well, you better be willing to accept any consequence from any action that you take, right? So, so that was my answer. Um, and the other thing I would point out too about my answer though is it made me reflect on this year 2020, right? 2019 was one of the I would have to say it was one of the best years of my life. One of the best years of my life, right? I had things were humming along at work. It was a very productive year for me, for my hobby. Guild Ball was raging, right? It was one of the best years for miniature gaming for me. Um, it was a good year for my family, my personal life. Things were working out. We're doing super well. Even things like this channel had a lot better variety of stuff on it. Um, so 2019 was really a banner year. It was excellent. My Extra Life campaign, for example, I broke personal records in terms of what I was able to raise for charity and that kind of stuff, right? That was 2019. 2020 was just what did 2020 was just what do you really need? What can you live without? How do you prepare? Are you we all quickly learned that we're not prepared for disaster, right? We're not prepared for this kind of stuff, but we learned on the fly, right? I took a lot of those skills that made me that was allowing me to do, to be very shifty and difficult to pin down at work. All of those skills uh, came into their own in 2020. They turned out to be extremely valuable skills for teaching people how to work remotely, right? My wife and I, we learned how to ration things around the house. We learned how to buy things that we need and try to trim back on some of the fat. I also learned the importance of exercise and diet and trying to keep my immune system nice and strong. I quickly made that a priority in 2020, and I still have a long ways to go as far as getting in shape, but my immune system is a lot better, and I'm a lot more active this year. Um, another thing, um, another thing I would point out is, here's a big thing too. Last year at this time, I was, I was not anti-gun, but I was anti-owning a gun for myself. I was like, yeah, I support everyone's right to keep a gun and for that right not to be infringed, right? Just as our Second Amendment lays out. But I always felt, here where I live, that I would never need any. I was like, it's silly for me to need a gun. I'm not. I fully recognize that there are people that should be armed and that will need that level of protection, but not me. I live in a right. I live in a good neighborhood. It's super safe. Nothing going on here. 2020 happens, right? Suddenly, I got to start thinking, what happens if, you know, what happens if we don't have access to police? What happens if what happens if people show up here? What happens? It's not so much as me going out and looking for trouble. What if trouble, 2020? What if trouble comes looking for me, right? So I got really good at that. I taught myself how to do that. My brother taught me how to shoot a gun, but then I really, took it upon myself to do a lot of self-training, really learn how to do things like field stripping, cleaning, maintenance, really taught myself things like target acquisition, stance, grip, just all that stuff that you need to learn, right? I learned so much more this year I'd learned more this year than the last probably the last 3 years combined between software, firearms, emergency preparedness. I've learned so much more this year, and my body, and like I said, even my exercise regimen is different. How about this? The fact that I exercise. 2019, I would do like 15 minutes of cardio a day. That's it. That's all I did. 15 minutes of cardio a day. That was, and I felt like, okay, that's enough to kind of keep my heart rate going and, and keep me out of most trouble. And I kept telling myself, oh, I'll push myself a little bit harder next time. I'll train a little bit harder next time. 2020 was like, nah, no, this isn't just a race to make me not look like I'm hiding a baby under my t-shirt. Right? This is I may need the additional lung capacity, right? If I get hit with some bug that really does, attack my lung capacity and cause me to become inflamed, or I want to boost my immune system in general. So I guess what I can say is like I have changed quite a bit, and I feel like I have to change way more. There's still a lot more to come. I mean, I was I got into I got heavy into Stoic philosophy in 2020. It started a little bit in 2019, like towards the end of 2019, but all this stuff happens in 2020, and I'm really starting to follow up on Stoic philosophy, really starting to understand what's important for me and for my like what I really value in my life, right? They're very simple things. People say, I value my family, I value my friends, I value the time I have on this earth and that kind of stuff, right? But Stoicism makes you strip it down even for, it just gives you this level of, hey, you need to be ready to die at any moment, right? You need to be ready to die at any moment, and you should treat every moment as if it's your last moment on earth. And you need to be grateful for what you have, and you need to work each day to make yourself a little bit better. And if you do that, and you live, and you really do strive to live a virtuous life, that you're going to be happy, right? That's really the key to happiness. It's not about what you have or what you want. In fact, it's not about what you want at all. It's about trying to make yourself better each day, trying to learn something each day. Uh, and I know we're getting into some preachy territory here, but I got to tell you, it's not for me. The religious stuff, it didn't really land because it was always a lot of the Western religious stuff was just sort of um, and no offense to people who are religious. In fact, I think that speaks very highly of your character if you are. But but for me, it was more about, okay, what do I need to do for myself? How do I just make my how do I continue to make myself better? How do I give myself the motivation to want to be better? It's a little sad, but I'll give you an example, right? So, yeah, see, no, Newbie's been reading a lot of Stoicism too, right? So, yeah, Stoicism has really been a godsend for me. But so, anyways, here, let me give you my example here of sort of a self motivation thing, right? Um, when my wife was pregnant with my firstborn son, I quit smoking. I taught myself to quit smoking. It was super important, and his imminent arrival gave me a lot of the motivation I needed to kick that awful habit, right? Now, I'd only been smoking 5 years, so it's definitely not as difficult as someone who's been smoking, 10, 15, 25 years, right? But still, quitting smoking, pretty difficult thing. It's a pretty difficult thing, right? So I quit smoking because of my firstborn son. Upon the arrival of my second son, you want to know what I did? I went out and pursued a house that I wanted and made sure it happened. Like I went out and bought a house, right? I painted miniatures that helped cover a lot of some of the like incidental early costs of buying a house. And because I saw my 2-year-old son playing in the house that we were in, the house that we were renting, and just how much of a construction zone that was starting to be, and it just it just made me, the thought of my two sons, my two babies being in a construction zone, it motivated me. And it's like, and I need to start actually having a home and having the property and stuff that we're going to need. So that was my second born son. Okay? So these were great motivators for me. These events were great motivators for me, and they were external events, and that's great and all, but how do you can't sustain that, right? I can't just, oh, I need to lose 50 pounds, let me go have another kid. Right? I wouldn't just do that. But I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at, is Stoicism gives you the means to really kind of draw the lines for yourself and draw the value in yourself. And so, it's been helping me do things like I get up at 4:15 in the morning now. Okay, I used to get up at 4:45, right? And I thought that was a big deal. I would paint until about 11, go to sleep, get up at 4:45, get ready, go to work, right? Do the stuff, come home, help take care of my kids, help around the house, do dinner, do another little bit of exercise in the evening, right? But now I get up at 4:15. I get up and I jog, and I forgot to mention this too. I also taught myself how to meditate. Now I'm still working on that. That's super difficult. I taught myself how to meditate, but I'm going to tell you something really kind of weird. Man, there's a lot. Newbie's talking a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of happiness. You never smoked, used to go out boozing in your younger years, hitting the bars and clubs. Haven't really drunk in decades. That's good, man. That's good. That's good. Yeah. That's, and I had a bunch of beer this weekend. Not a lot. I had a couple of beers each time. But because it was raining, we spent a lot of time in the bar playing Aristeia and Guild Ball, which was super cool. But so we did I had a few beers, but it was more about the calories than the alcohol, if that makes sense to you. But yeah, it's you get into systems like that, right? Um, you know, I'm gonna quote Jordan Peterson here. Some people love Jordan Peterson, some people hate Jordan Peterson. I don't really care because this thing that he shared is super important, right? He says start off your day by making your bed. Like get up in the morning and make your bed. Start there, right? And that's really where I started too. And this is right before COVID. Uh, I would get up and uh, do my bed. Start the morning, do my bed. Say something nice to myself as I get up, right? I roll out of bed and I say, okay, let's do this. I say that like every morning. All right, let's do this. And it helps me roll up and get out of bed. And you make your bed, and that's the first victory of the day. You go, okay, I got my first win in, right? I got my first accomplishment in. As small as that sounds, you start off that way and you build off of it and build off of it and build off of it, right? And so that's that was just such a powerful thing to just start there. Like, what do you do? You do your bed, right? You accomplish something. You make a routine. You make it a routine. You make your little victory a routine, and you build off of that every day. Um, and so yeah, that's I started there. Got into a little bit meditating, but um, what I found, what's actually helped me not need to meditate as much is things like jogging, because and I learned this from a friend of mine who just completed an she just did her first Ironman this weekend. She just did her first. So a friend of mine, very close friend of mine, she just completed her first Ironman. Like I'm still blown away by that. Right, I'm blown away by that, and she's been in touch with me the whole time. She's told me all about her training and how um, just how rigorous that was, just how difficult that was, both mentally and physically, and that helped me too. But one of the things that she shared with me was that she used to meditate as well, but she said, when I started jogging, your your mind goes where it would have gone when you meditate too. So like when you meditate, you train yourself that sort of mental stillness. You train yourself to kind of focus on your breathing, and just completely clear your mind. It's the best thing ever. I've only experienced it really like probably a total of 15 seconds out of the 3 or 4 dozen times I've tried, right? So, uh, but she said jogging. She's like, yeah, I used to meditate, start jogging, don't need to meditate anymore. She can get herself physically there or mentally there um, by jogging, because when you're running and you're breathing and you're just concentrating on getting the next foot down, crossing the next part, then your brain is clear, and things will just pop up while you're jogging. Things will just pop into your brain while you're jogging, which is very much like your, yeah, right, just very much like meditating and the goal of meditating. So, anyways, I need to read the 5,000 lines of text that Newbie has put down. Nelson likes Jordan. Okay. Sleep patterns are a mess. Yeah. That's good. Your mental health has been better, right? So yeah, here's another thing too. Okay, here's one. Right, I'm not. I was I was raised culturally Catholic, um, like pretty much all Filipinos are, and and I did the rounds, right? I did the Catholicism growing up, and I did your basic born again fundamental Christianity. That was a thing for me at one point, but it never. But for me, that that spirituality, and again, I'm not knocking people that are, but that spirituality still hasn't landed with me, still hasn't stuck with me. But I I still maintain that I think that whether you believe in God or not, and what kind of God you believe in, it's it's good and important for you to have some sort of moral grounding. Okay? It's good. It's good for you to have some sort of basic moral grounding. And if your basic moral grounding is get better each day, right? Learn to uh, accept what you can't control and learn to control yourself in your reactions to it. Again, this is stoic principles. Learn to do that, and you're just going to have a better more fulfilled life. And I strongly feel that way. And I meet people and I know people that are very strong and independent willed, and they want to take on the whole world by themselves and that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that they can't. Not my point is not that they cannot. My point is that there are people like that that have the ability, that have the skills, that have the raw willpower to take on the world in the manner that they see fit. But they still need a moral grounding. And I pretty much always hate talking about morality, frankly. I think morality has gotten, the misuse of morality over the centuries has gotten humanity to do some of the worst things imaginable in the name of morality. You know what I'm talking about, and I don't even need to go through that list. I think most people here uh, can just, populate that list with what you think I would say. And yes, that's on the list. It's that simple, right? So in general, I'm not a big morality guy per se. I would not say that I'm a big morality guy. I am, though, uh, I do, however, feel that uh, that you should actually have some grounding in morality. That no matter how you feel about it, you should that should be a thing. That most people need that. It doesn't need to be spiritual, but it needs to be moral. You need to have a code. You need to either you need to carry a level of self-respect, a level of some modicum of honor uh, that you will carry yourself with as you face your life. You can't otherwise, if you have all this quote unquote strength, if you have all this headlong strength, but you have no direction, you have no grounding, what's the point of it? Right? I'm not telling you to. I'm not. Again, I'm the last person to tell you to go to Jesus. If you know what I mean, I'm the last person to tell you that. But some people need Jesus. Just saying, some people need that. Most people need a moral code that they can live by, that they can abide, and it's not just about not killing or stealing or lying. It's not just about that. It's really at the heart of this is that moral code really gives you the means to be fulfilled in your life. That's what I mean. Yeah, problem with religion is organized surely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's it, and again, I'm not. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Is to have some base level of, okay, this is who I am at my core, and I will not betray that. That's what I'm talking about. I think that's crucial, right? I, like, so the other day, I went shooting, right? Um, and I went shooting, and the guy behind, I like building rapport at these places. I like building rapport every place I go. Nelson knows that. I like building rapport every place I go. So, does that mean that I flirt with a girl a little bit? A little bit. Does it mean that I do stuff like that and I build rapport with people and I joke around with people so that they get to know me and they get to recognize me, and so that so when I come in, right, we do a little small talk, right, that kind of thing. Anyways, um, at the gun range, I go to the gun range, and some of the people that work the counter there starting to recognize me. Uh, wow, the day I thought you would talk about this stuff. so, uh, so some of the people start to recognize me. We start to do like our small talk thing, right? So I show up, and the guy that works the counter, like, he knows me. He's helped me clear some like gun jams, that kind of thing. He's like the regular range master guy there, and he knows what I want. He knows what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to break in my gun, that kind of thing. Um, is the world ending? No, the world's not ending, Spaz. Um, so. Uh, So he gets me set up, and I'm like, yeah, give me a box of ammo, right? I like buying ammo at the range because that means that I'm not shooting all of my personal stash here, and it's target ammo, right? I need to fire rounds through the gun and get the gun broken in and shoot the paper targets, that kind of thing. So, um, so he gives me the box and whatever, and I go on my way. Then I come back out, and he's gone, and somebody else is ringing me out, right? And he's ringing me out based on the sort of slip. The guy fills out a slip, like, here's the lane Octave went on, here's what he did, here's what he bought, right? And that box was not on there, okay? And the guy was like, oh, you only owe me $2, okay? All right, what would you do? Right? Lost wallet scenario. What would you do? I couldn't. I was like, oh, I could have just walked away and paid $2 and been like, yay, I got a free box of ammo, right? so, um, so anyways, so the guy's ringing me out, and I'm like, you know what? He didn't. Yeah, I pointed it out. I'm like, yeah, he didn't point. He didn't add that box that I bought. He didn't add that box. And the guy looked at me and he said, thank you for your integrity. He's like, thank you. You have a lot of integrity. So I don't know. It's as silly as that sounds. I don't think I would have done that a year ago. Right? Well, maybe I would have. Maybe I would have. I don't know. I don't think I will. There's at least a part of me that's saying, nah, you probably wouldn't. You probably been like, yeah, I got that for free, right? But no, I won't do that now. I don't know. It, like I said, having some, you got to have some sort of grounding. You got to. Anyways, all right. So we're just gonna work on some shading here. Oh, that's not enough. That's not dark enough. It's a good color though. Uh-oh. I hear little steps coming down the stairs.
Yeah, I just like.
You stand down here, kiddo?
Yeah.
Can't sleep up there?
Yeah. I'm just pretty itchy today.
What's your little brother doing?
He's sleeping and getting woken up.
He's getting upset?
Yeah.
Yeah? Alright. Well, we're having some deep we're having some deep discussions on morality. If you want to, if you You don't know what that is. Good. Good for you. Let's see. I'd pay for what I owe, found what doesn't work, have a strong moral compass. Yeah, not just book it, who knows. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Hey, what's up, Sean? So, yeah, it's I just that's the thing, right? It's not about having a a moral grounding or a moral compass is, in my opinion, it's not about trying to make other people live by that, because it's not the point. Like, that's already, you've lost. If the whole thing is just, oh, spread like a virus, make more, that's not the goal. That's not, as I see it, that's not the goal of what your what your moral grounding should be. It should not function that way. The function is, this is for me. This is what I do. This is what this is this is what makes me tick, right? And that's pretty much all it should be. And if people are interested in, like, oh, hey, I noticed that Newbie is a good person. Okay, I almost said that. I almost said that without laughing. That he's, um, yeah. So if they're like, Newbie's a good person, but what makes him tick, right? And they want to know. Then you're like, yeah, these are things that I read. These are the things that influence me. What do you think, man? Loving that. This right here looks like I could clean that up a little bit. Let's see. Trying to figure out what is the best way to clean that up, because that's like an airbrush mark there. I don't know if this is gonna work, but let's try it. You just have to repaint Lakshmi. Nice. Oh man. I just want to break this up a little bit. It's a little too, it doesn't, it's just weird. Just weird looking. A little weird. How do I get that? How do I get that to blend back without wrecking the whole thing?
Why are you doing the microphone with your voice?
The other option is just own it, right? Just own it and blend the lighter color in, because that seems to be easier. If I just, yeah, that actually is easier. Just make it look more believable that way, I suppose. There we go. There we go. Thanks, Sean. At the moment in the UK with all the bat flu, if it's all dodgy, then should people whistle blow, or should they keep quiet to keep working to protect their families? And that's a conundrum. I mean, it's hard to. There are specific people that need to whistle blow, and in my opinion, even if you did whistle blow, it's still it still could be a really bad decision if you try to get the attention of the media, and they just shut you off. They don't talk about, like, they're like, oh yeah, that person's crazy, and so they ignore you, right? They ignore you. Meanwhile, so mainstream media would ignore you, then social media would not ignore you. So it is possible. It is. I've seen many, and I'm sure we all have. We've seen instances of somebody being shunned and purposely overlooked by the mainstream media whilst being canceled by social media. That's Isn't that messed up? You just like I'll risk the exposure if it means that the media will cover, whatever it is I have to say. And so you have people, like I said, they get the worst of both worlds. They get only the horrible attention, none of the beneficial attention. I find the soldier garden. Well, yeah. So, in my opinion, you have to be, if you're going to be a whistleblower, one, obviously, it takes a tremendous amount of courage and blah, 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 and everyone's been over that. Okay, we get that. But from a totally pragmatic sense, oh wait, did I do that? Yeah, from a totally pragmatic sense, only certain people can really be effective whistleblowers. And even when they are, it is possible to get only the exact attention you do not want. In this day and age, so you gotta be, I don't know. If I could just rattle off an answer while I'm painting minis, then I'm a god, right? Right? If I could fix something like that, like here's what you do, and then you put a little blue down on this mini. Like if I could just do that, then you know 4 million people should be watching my streams. I do not have an answer there. I don't know. I feel like we need to try to take note of how did the Enlightenment start, right? The the Enlightenment basically marked an end to all of that, to all of the dark age of information that was flown around, the crazy um, religious totalitarianism that preceded it. People killing each other and persecuting each other over the worst reasons imaginable, right? I think we need to go back, review those notes. Is there a way to kickstart? Because I think we need to kickstart Enlightenment level ideas again. I really do. Maybe it's probably too late. I don't know. If you in Brave New World, the parts that were really that really stuck with me just for today, right, is this idea that with everybody being happy and content, uh, that there were no more books or stories. People couldn't develop art because they didn't experience pain or loss or joy, right? So they couldn't make art, right? It was just when they went to the movies, it was either just like basically porn, or it was a remake of something that was like a really sloppy remake of Shakespeare that drives the main character John mad, right? He's like, that's terrible. So, and I'm like, so I'm watching that scene and going, oh, well, that is today. Nobody has any new stories to tell, and we watch these shitty remakes all the time because there's no more there's no more actual creation happening. Now, I get the reasoning behind that is a little bit different than in Brave New World, right? Part of the reason why you just see remake after remake after remake has more to do with um, movie studios being publicly funded. And so, when you want to tell your shareholders you want a bunch of money to invest in a movie, well, you better pick a recognizable franchise. You're basically looking for a uh, um, an infallible bet, right? Your investment in this movie, your investment in the new Ghostbusters movie is sure to pass because everybody knows and remembers Ghostbusters, right? If you go out there and be like, "Oh, this major studio wants to put this story out that no one's ever heard before," then your shareholders are going to regard that as a risk because they never know what happens, and that industry gets relate over basically become so risk averse because of that reason that they just do it's just endless remakes over remakes over remakes, right? So that's why that's part of the reason. But there is something to be said that maybe we're losing the ability to create the kind of art that we were once able to do. You look at some of those beautiful, stirring art throughout history. They usually come from the most tortured people of all time, right? Tortured, either insane, mentally tortured, or just emotionally traumatized. They come from a place of deep pain and deep loss, usually. And in our day and age, while shit still happens, it's not nearly as bad as it was back when some of the greatest works of art and fiction were made. So I don't know, it's a solid point there. But I was watching that scene in Brave New World, and they go on a date. John and Lenina, they go on this date, and Lenina, sorry, my son's here to correct me. Uh, so they go on this date, and they're watching this movie, which is just this absolute trash version of Romeo and Juliet. And so it's the famous scene where he's calling her, from the balcony, and he and this it is just so upsetting to listen to, right? It's just not the art and poetry of it. It's more like I forget that he like calls out to Jenny, and his name is like Steve. He goes, Jenny, would thou art watermelon would be good and tasty. Like they don't. It's just an absolute travesty of what, right, of what that scene is supposed to be and what it's supposed to represent. And so, and you have the main character freaking out because he was actually raised on the definitive works of Shakespeare. And so he goes to that movie and just loses his shit because it's like, no, 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 how could you watch this like sullied version of this classical romantic tragedy, right? And sometimes that's how we feel. We go to the movie theater to watch Karate Kid, and he's not learning karate, right? He's learning kung fu in China, right? They're not even in Okinawa. They're not even in Japan, where karate is. But they're learning kung fu. Why would you name the movie Karate Kid if there is no karate in the movie? Not one frame of karate, people, right? That's what I'm saying. This is the depths to which, and I get it. I'm scraping the top of the barrel here as far as stupid crap that exists in our society, but you get my point. Like that decision, the decision to do that movie, went through dozens of studio executives, went through studio heads, went through focus groups, and went to the shareholders, and everybody said, "Oh yeah, that's fine. Make a movie where the kid learns kung fu, but we want to bank on a bankable franchise. Let's call it Karate Kid. Like that's where we're at. Okay? That yeah. They couldn't land the plane on Game of Thrones, guys. Do you remember that? Remember when that was our major complaint? Remember that was when that was the most traumatic thing that happened that week? Was Game of Thrones was terrible. Anyways, that's that's I don't know. Suppose the March of Science brought on the Enlightenment. Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel. He mocked up that design for a helicopter, right? That's I don't know. We're just in this. I feel like we're in a a manufactured dark age, right? It, because yeah, we're still learning stuff, but we're learning exactly what we're allowed to learn. That's bad. That's really bad. Anyway, let's finish these guys up here. Let's get some red highlights here. This guy, I mean, this guy's he's basically done. But let's get some red highlights on Mr. Maximus. Maximus. Do you have anything to add to the conversation, son? No. You tired? You gotta get up early, dude. What do you think about movie remakes, son?
I don't really watch movies, but
Okay.
I've heard on YouTube and by my family that remakes are just garbage and crap.
Yes, that's the ticket. That's the spirit. Remakes are just garbage and crap. I mean, occasionally there's a good remake. Occasionally. It happens once in a while.
Yeah. But like I don't know, 15.
The Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake, the one that happened in the very early 80s, that was a pretty good remake. Let's see. You guys have any thoughts on good remakes? Once in a while, you can have a good remake. Dune is looking to be like that might actually be pretty good. The Dune remake might be pretty good. There will always be a special place in my heart for the David Lynch Dune. I will still always sort of love that movie. but yeah, the remake looks pretty good. I'm not gonna just immediately shit on it. By defense, side to side. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I know that there are some good remakes. Part of them modern day identity culture has to be replaced by well, I think that's honestly I don't think that's the goal. I think that's a selling point. It's the whole diversity thing um, is it's frankly it's just the next wave of green. Remember green products? You remember that green products in the 90s? Oh, it's green products. It just it wasn't the reason why you bought something, but it made you feel a little less guilty for owning it because it was the green version of something. It was a little more environmentally friendly to people. Oh, I only buy green products. That's me. Yeah, look at me. It was a way to virtue signal, and when they market the products, They say, oh, it's green. It's good for the environment. And green still sells in places like China and that kind of stuff where they want healthy paint. And they want that kind of stuff in their house, right? So, so green was a thing. Then organic. You remember, you guys, everybody remembers organic. Oh, I only buy organic eggs. Yeah, I only buy organic soy. Like that was a thing, and it was, you thought you were. It was a differentiator, and it made you feel maybe not good, but less guilty. Some people made them feel. It made them feel like morally superior. There's some people that are that sad that they that the just being able to say, "Oh, I only I only eat free range chicken." Like those people when that's something that you're wearing as a badge, like rethink your life, dude. Like just start over. Just do whatever you're being right now. Don't be that. Whatever you're being as a person, it's time to stop. Okay, just start over. If that's the shit you're clinging to, and I know, some people, this generation of people can be so sad on some levels that's all they can claim. That's all you can claim. Well, I'm a nice person. That's it. That's all people. Well, I'm good. That's another thing about this like identity crisis, or this identity politics, or identity, uh, all this crap is like you need to identify as something that is a circumstance of your birth. It's basically random. The fact that you're proud of that is pathetic. Yes, that's the word. Pathetic. Like pick something that you do. Pick some pick some part, like do something something that you have actually invested energy in building or maintaining, or you can't just be like, well, I'm a proud redhead. You wow. I don't be walking around going, man, you want to know why you should date me, why you should hire me for the job? You want to know why? Because I'm right-handed. That's why. Like, this is the saddest.
For some reason that makes no sense. That doesn't have a meaning. Why? Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like if someone says, "Oh, join my farm." Why do I join your farm?
Yeah.
Because I have pigs on it.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
It's like, okay, so you're Octavius, you're half Filipino, right?
Yeah.
Did you accomplish that?
Huh?
Is that an accomplishment?
No. Really.
No, it's not. It's a circumstance of your birth.
Yeah.
Imagine going into the.
It.
Could you imagine going into the playground and being like, you know what? You need to be my best friend. You want to know why? Because this is a circumstance of my birth. It has nothing to do with me or what kind of person I am. Just who I am. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm going to brag about by myself. Do you want people, let me ask you this. Do you want people to know you as Octavius, the kid that knows a hell of a lot about animals? The kid that likes to draw really scary monsters and give them really goofy names? Do you want them to know you to know you as being, the kid that can say really sarcastic things at the right exact moment? Do you want your friends to know you as the kid that's that paints miniatures and and plays with color and learns a lot about painting and does his own streams,
I mean,
right? Or do you want them to know, oh hey, you're half Filipino? Because that is literally what this is all about. Like, why would you lead in with that? Why? It just wasn't, that hasn't been I've just never heard of that, right? Even at like the professional world, right? You go into like a professional work seminar or whatever. There's always some like really chipper uh, facilitator. Oh, hi, my name's Debbie. I love animals, skiing, and I'm here to have a good time. So we're gonna go around the room. Why don't you tell us something about yourself, right? And you go around the room, and everybody says something about themselves. Oh yeah, well I really like ironing my socks in the morning. Like people say shit like that. But the worst thing you can say was, I happen to be born with this condition of my birth. That's like not a, that's not a thing. And the fact that there's an entire generation of people that now lead in with that, to think that that's the most important thing about them, is just the saddest thing I've ever heard in my like. Is that it? Did you guys just like give up on
Yeah, you could
being?
tell them anything.
Are you just bad at what?
You could tell them
You could have told them anything.
anything.
Is
But you had to teach them. Wow.
wow, right? Here's your chance to shine, Octavius. You want people to remember you for something. What are you gonna say? My name is Octavius, and
I have a weird amount of sarcasm, and I have a weird obsession with drawing.
there you go. Good. Winner, right? Winner.
Yes.
Right? That's way better than, oh, one of my ears sticks out further than the other. That's just a circumstance of your birth. Why is that your leading characteristic? Are you that sad? Are you that sad?
I mean, you could tell them.
I mean,
Like, there's so many. Like, you don't have. There's, like, more than one thing. I mean, it might stick out, but, like.
that's
I don't even know what to say.
it's I just find it demeaning. I don't know. Maybe somebody can explain it to me. Maybe somebody can explain it to me.
You just despise that.
I don't I don't know that you despise. I don't know that I despise it. It, I pity people for like making that their thing.
You're just gonna hide out.
I just feel like sad for them. Like really, that's
hide
what you're
out.
gonna. That's the hill you're gonna die on.
Yeah, what you're
Like
doing is you're basically sick. What you're saying basically is translating the hiya.
hiya, right?
What are we doing? Really, what are we doing?
What's that beep?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Somebody's gonna explain this to me one day. I don't know.
Are you gonna be so angry when you're?
I'm just not gonna buy it. I'm still not gonna believe it. Oh yeah, the reason why you tell people that you're first and foremost that you have 4 freckles, that's the most important thing that they need to know about you, and they need to treat you differently because you have 4 freckles. I don't understand. I just what? There you go. Put that Jackie Chan meme where he's kind of holding his hands out. That's me right now. That's me. Like I said, I mean, I've had like I actually had like conversations with people, with generally younger people that are like, oh, I want to do. Someone literally said to me, I want to do this in my life. I want to achieve this in my life, but I'm Hispanic. And it was like a career goal, right? I want to be a manager at a thing, but I'm Hispanic. Okay, now I get some people say, okay, well maybe that person's in a work environment where they're they're literally are racist, and they don't like Hispanics at this particular job. This was not the case. And then the reason why I'll say that is because they need people to be bilingual in this particular job. So they clearly cannot bilingual, like you have to be able to no bilingual. So anyways, and I'm like, is that really? And I said this in like the most loving manner you can say to somebody. I didn't say this in a bad way, but I'm like, is that really? Are you really just gonna live by that reason? That's not why you can do something. Like, is that because that makes me sad? It just made me sad to hear it. You know, it did. It made me sad to hear it, and I was like, um, I don't know. And I tried to tell the guy, I'm like, look, that's if you if you're talking about me, if you're talking about me, about what the person that I am, does do you ever mention what race I am? And he says, well, no, not really. I'm like, yeah, that's on purpose. It's because you want to tell somebody about me, like, unless you're describing me to the police or something, right? That just doesn't come into play. It's just not a factor. And that's it. And you know, I know it's not always achievable to be that way, but that should always be the goal. Is that needs to not be. That's not the hill you die on. It's not the foot that you lead in with. Again, I'm an old man with archaic ideas. So pardon me for not being evolved, but that's at least that was the goal as we saw it. Was like, yeah, you look different. You look different than other people. Okay, that's fine. Don't let that be. Don't let that be the only thing that people define you as. And definitely do not let that be the thing that you define yourself as. Right? Because it is in a manner it is selling yourself very terribly short of things. Yeah. But anyway, that's my soapbox. You have anything left to add, son? These things do look cool.
Not really.
Not really. Good. I like what you had to say about you draw you draw scary monsters and give them goofy names.
Well, I mean, I have like a
Who
lot of things that
is
I like to do.
Yeah, you have a lot of things that even that can be a thing about yourself, right? If what's something you'd like to do?
Well, the first thing well, well, whenever I get a chance to go outside, I like to go and catch some insects.
There you go. You like to go and catch insects. Why not?
Like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, like animals in general.
Yeah. You want to interact with your one of your favorite things to do is to interact with the animals.
Yes. Like,
Yeah.
for example, earlier this morning, we were going out to Spectrum, and I found an assassin bug on a plant.
That's right. You found an assassin bug. Yeah. Like a lot of people just don't even pay attention to, all the nature, the world around them, right?
A lot of people don't really like insects, and I understand that because
Mm-hmm.
some of them have people like. But personally, I think insects look better than you know what I mean. Like, I think like insects and arachnids are more interesting than like worms and snails and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So you think that that assassin bug that you found,
Yeah.
uh, do, do you think it's fair that you only know it as an assassin bug, or maybe it has a wonderful personality that it needs to share with the rest of us?
Well, I
Ah.
tried to, but it really
Uh,
doesn't speak English,
and it can't
it
speak
can't
at all.
speak. Yeah, it
Yeah.
can't. I mean, it could.
That's too bad. That was just me making fun of my own argument, which is what I do from time to time. I cannot find my black paint. Where's my black paint?
Yeah, I really like to find insects. I also really like to draw or do
The
anything that involves art.
But yeah, don't I don't know. Don't get all my point is
The point is,
you don't get all hung up on these things that are just
personality.
yeah,
Don't just
like
like,
humanize yourself, right? Be a person. Like I know that's that's great advice for me to other people. Be a person. Go ahead, you can quote me on that. Put on a t-shirt. Be a person. Signed Octave. Octave 2020. You can do that. You can do that. You have my permission.
So mean. This is so
What
mean.
does that mean?
Sounds mean.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I just.
Be a person.
Well,
It sounds like good advice from where I'm sitting. And I like ironing my socks.
don't like ironing your socks. Well done. I understand that.
There's a whole community of people that iron their socks that are pissed at me right now. Hey, buddy, we like ironing our socks.
I mean, that's kind of related to, like, I shared something about myself and they shared something about themselves. I said I like to draw monsters and like to look at monsters created by other people.
Oh, I was talking about that was my fictitious facilitator Debbie, who likes ironing,
Oh,
who
yeah.
likes ironing her socks. Debbie.
Yeah, remember. Debbie. What?
My name is
What are you
Debbie.
doing?
Debbie.
Oh. Yeah, Debbie's such a jerk. She, there's that
This Lei
girl.
Yang guy is pretty awesome.
He's like a cyborg.
They will all cancel me. They should cancel me on Twitter.
That guy looks like a Roman master. I think you.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like he's supposed to be a Spartan.
Yeah, did you paint him before?
Oh yeah, I painted this model like 3 or 4 times.
That's not that many.
It is considering it's an individual. It, it's this model is freaking awesome though. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
That model is freaking awesome. All right, Nelson, you got to figure out how to work Maximus into your 8 now. He used to be on my 8, but I don't know. I might work him back in just because he is like the coolest model in the game. Too much time in the room. Okay. Well, I think we are just about there. At some point, I may be Tuesday night. What I may do is we're gonna paint through these, right? And then tomorrow, maybe I paint 4 models, right? Maybe I paint that one, this one. This guy is a really complicated model. I've painted him once before, but he's awesome. Little Oni. Gotta paint that one. Gotta paint her. She's not a complicated model, but she's got, you want to do it right because she's best girl. So you want to do that right. And then also Moonchild, right? Right, so Moonchild. So I have to paint these 2 at the same time because they need to be wearing the same outfit.
Is it Moonchild or Moonchild?
Moonchild. And then finally, and then when I stream, I actually want to paint this Parvati. And you can see I've already done some color shift on her as well.
She's a little bit tighter than
So we're going to punch up the colors, similar to Legong and Maximus. So excited for that. All right, so here we go. That is, we're going to end the feed with those two models being done. And hopefully a bunch of left-handed iron sock wearing people deeply offended by this particular stream. So yeah. All right, guys. So that is going to do it for this video. I want to thank everyone for watching. Have a good night, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.